It's been a whole year.
It has been just a great whole year.
Are we done with this?
Stay tuned and find out.
Just an itty bitty ditty about a couple on the road, driving an RV, pulling a toad. No place special to roam, not looking for a home. Won't you come along with us? We are RPlaceTravels.
Hi, peoples.
Good morning. We are here today to go over this video because it's our anniversary.
We've actually been on the road for 1 year now, so we're starting our second year. So we thought we'd make a video to see what,
If we're gonna keep on doing this,
see how we like it, what we think about it. Yeah.
kind of tell you what's going on in this year.
Yep. How we feel about the whole year.
What do you want to start with?
How about just plain old traveling,
Number 1.
driving the RV. I like driving, so it doesn't bother me. Just, we'll spend 3-4 hours a day on the road. Piece of cake as far as I'm concerned. Nothing to it. So, Yep.
I've had a hard time driving. When we had just the RV, I had no problems with it at all. We put the toad on, and it seems like every time I've been behind the wheel, it's been construction, and the trucks have moved me over, kind of scared me. I just haven't felt like driving in that. So I'm almost looking forward to getting to out west where there's hardly anything out there, so I can kind of get my wheels back. Number 2.
Campsites. What do you think about the campsites, babe?
Well, there's different kind of campsites, and depending on what they have is how you're going to be dealing with people and your rig and all the amenities and stuff that they have. So I think full hookups in that. I love full hookups. I feel more like we're in a little apartment when we're in a full hookups. The issue that I have is that usually everybody's way too close. I would like to be a little bit farther apart. I don't want to know what they're talking about or eating or whatever's going on. But usually on both sides, and then of course on one side, usually by our table. If you're too close, you've got the sewer and that of the other person that it's just right there. I really like the Corps of Engineers and the state parks, and usually it's either water and electric or just electric, which makes it a little bit harder because we have to go dump then a lot because our tanks are pretty small. I think that we're farther apart, which I like. And I don't know, I think I really enjoy them more. So I'm kind of looking forward to going on BLM land and doing some boondocking. We haven't done that yet.
We've done boondocking once. We plan on doing a lot more boondocking, so we haven't really gotten into that yet. Once we get out west, there's a lot more opportunities to do boondocking. So we'll be doing a lot more of that. We'll be a little bit more prepared. As far as the campsites, like you said, people are a lot closer than you'd want them to be. But at the same time, I think every campsite we've been to, we've gotten to know some people and basically become friends with people that we would never have done that, obviously, if we weren't doing this. So we've gotten to know people personally out on the campsites, which is a good thing.
Yep, they've even given us their, information and stuff. So It's been really nice.
Usually everybody comes in on weekends, they fill up, and then they leave on Sunday night, and it's pretty much empty through the week, and then again the weekend comes and it fills up. You can tell the weekenders because the campfires go and
games are out.
Yeah, and they definitely take advantage of their weekend because they're basically
very loud.
Yeah,
the whole weekend is completely different than during the week. We feel like we live two different lives going on.
Could you imagine living in your home and the neighbors are partying all the time? I mean, that's basically what we live in on the weekends. Everybody's out, they're vacationing, they're out having fun, they're taking advantage of it. And that's what you get. Kind of got to expect that because that's what we're doing.
So we try to do stuff on the weekend if we can to get away. The weekenders are just another thing that we just have to deal with.
Part of the trip,
Yeah.
part of the adventure.
And it usually fills up on the weekend. That's the hard thing, I think, is that it's just so empty during the week. And then one day everything just kind of fills up, so we don't dump on the weekend. Don't fill up on water on the weekend. There's just certain things that you're just not going to do.
Yeah. We usually, when we have just electric hookups, once a week we have to dump, fill the fresh tank up with water and everything. So it's usually a weekly chore.
And also, our moving day is usually on Tuesday, in that we try to do it on a Tuesday because we don't want to be coming in with the weekenders. It's been hard to find places sometimes because the weekends are all full. So for us to get 2 weeks out of it, we have to have 2 weekends that are open. So that's been a little difficult for us.
Everything we've stayed at, we've reserved ahead of time. So we want to get away from that a little bit too, and more just trying to
show up. Yeah,
to show up. And
a lot of people do that, and it's hard.
And a lot of people do it, and it takes a lot of I don't know. It's kind of scary because you don't know if you're going to have a place to stay that night or not. So
yeah.
But yeah, to just show up in an area and look for a place to stay, that's something different, and that's probably something that we'd like to try doing more.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that works out.
Number 3.
The areas that we've been staying at, the towns, to me, every town is just like every other town. I mean, you would think there'd be differences and things like that, but to me, it's just another town with people in it.
Yeah.
Going about their business, and it doesn't.
Well, that's because they're the same. Every town has a Walmart, gas stations, Best Buy, whatever the stores are and stuff. They're basically all the same. So it gives you the same feeling, but I think that makes it more comfortable for a lot of people when they travel, in that they know they can get the same stuff no matter where they are in the United States. But the thing that I love the most is that I can get up out of bed and just look out my window and there's something new every day. So either I'm by water or trees, I got forests. It's like every time there's something new out my window. So I enjoy it so much. Having some coffee, open the shades up in the morning, and just looking out what God has made. It's just been wonderful.
Yeah. We get to a place and we use the GPS to get around, and after a while we don't even need the GPS. We know where everything's at. To me, I get to that point and it's like, okay, I know where everything's at. It's time to move on.
Time to move on. Yeah, because we're usually there between 2 weeks. I mean, we've been trying 2 weeks to a month at places, just because of the way gas prices are, and just the way things work out. We're trying to make it so that it's not such a burden on us for cost-wise.
Cost-wise, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4.
Places we've gone and things we've done. Well, the reason we took this adventure is to go see the country, see places, and visit things that we would never have the opportunity to visit otherwise.
And we want to do it before we get too old and can't do it.
Yeah.
As we're finding out, our bodies are breaking down faster than we thought that they were. And
it's a big, beautiful country, so we want to go see it.
I don't see us like in 20, 30 years in here doing this. So that's one of the reasons why we ended up deciding to go by RV, is that we're basically bringing our house with us, and we can go to these places and not have a hotel room.
What do you got to say about the places that we've seen?
Oh, yeah, I think it's been wonderful. I still feel like I have not seen hardly anything at this point.
It's been a year.
It's been a year.
But we feel like we've barely even gotten started.
I believe even if we were on the road for 10 years, I don't think that we'd still get to see everything we wanted to. But I think just this last winter that we were in Florida, I think it's been wonderful. It's been so fun to see the alligators everywhere, to see the water, and how the weather was so warm during the winter. We've never had that before. It's just, to me, it was so different And that's what I want to do, is I want to see all the different places. I want to see where certain people have been. I just want to be out there and see everything, basically.
And we're doing that. Pretty much seen a lot of the best places to see in Florida. The Keys, and we went to all the towns, the big towns, Fort Myers and Tampa and Orlando and
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg and St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
We went to all them places in Florida, and we took the time. All basically it's all been. We went throughout the whole state of Florida, and we saw a lot of things. Now we're working our way west, and we're doing the same thing. Now we're on our way to Black Hills. So on our way, we've gone through the state of Iowa and gone through a lot of places we've seen there. Checked out all the towns. Anything interesting there, we stopped to see.
And it's not things that we thought of how things were going to be. Like when we went through Nebraska, everybody said Nebraska is completely flat. And then when we got there, it's not completely flat. It's beautiful, rolling hills. It was beautiful. I was really shocked. And that's what I like. I like to go and see what it really is like, how the real people live in these places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to get to know the normal, everyday person and how they live their lives. It's part of this adventure.
Number 5.
Odors on the road or in the RV.
In the RV. It has been something to get used to. That, I guess, getting used to being in such small quarters. I guess that's one of my issues, is that there's just a little bit of odor of something always. So you end up putting in like a mister, and so now you're putting in something else that smells. And I would prefer not to have, just to have no smell at all, but I don't think it works in an RV, because you're always messing around with food and cooking. When you cook in the RV, it just ends up permeating through the whole place. So we have the Blackstone outside, and I really enjoy cooking outside now. So that's just some of the stuff that ends up happening when you're in such small quarters, and how things work.
And you have stuff like your clothes hamper.
Oh.
We had to get a sealed clothes hamper, because just throwing dirty clothes in the clothes hamper and they sit in there for a week, it develops a smell.
Right.
So we had to get a sealed clothes hamper, stuff like that. Garbage can. We used to put our garbage under the sink in a bag. Well, after 2 days, it starts smelling. So we had to go out and get a sealed, just a kitchen garbage can that seals. And you got to make sure, every other day or so you're emptying your garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, just things that you'd normally take for granted in your sticks and bricks are excelled in this little tiny space.
But you got to deal with them.
Yeah.
Number 6.
RV repairs. Well, I've mentioned it before, and anybody who owns an RV knows that these things aren't made very well. So if you have a temporary RV that you're only using a few weekends out of the year, you go out, it breaks, you bring it home, you fix it. Yep. Well, here, you're out full time. This is our home. So if it breaks, you fix it out in the road. And I mean, I'm doing
out on the road sometimes.
I'm doing like just normal maintenance, oil changes and washing and things like that in campsites where we can. So I mean, just things like that. And then if stuff breaks, you have to fix it right there. And the tools, I have a limited supply of tools. I can only bring so many tools because I don't have much room for them. Mm-hmm. So I'm using whatever tools I have to make repairs that
may not be the right tool.
There's always repairs and things like that have to be done.
And sometimes we don't even have the item. We have to wait till we get to a campsite until we get the item.
When I was at home in Sticks and Bricks, something break in the car or something, I'd rock auto, and 3 days later it'd be at my door, and then I'd make the repair.
Mm-hmm. Or you go to Menards, pick it up.
Yeah. Well, now it's like to find a place that has it is one thing, a part or something. Mm-hmm. Or a lot of stuff, especially for the RV, you can't go to the local store and get it. You have to order it.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out, okay, where can we get delivery? So
that's been interesting.
Which is a topic in itself. So we have to wait till we're in a spot where we can get delivery, or a place where we can get it delivered to us. So it's another challenging thing for being on the road.
Yeah. just going through the rig, trying to figure out if things are going to break even. We have to get into these modes for preventative maintenance. If you're living in a sticks and bricks, most of the time you don't fix it until it's broken. And that here we actually have to try to figure out, oh, that looks different. Is it breaking or not? So that's another thing that we have to try to get in front of some of this stuff before it breaks. Number 7, our relationship.
How do we get along?
How do we get along?
Well, you gotta think. Your husband and wife, you live in a sticks and bricks. Like, his tensions got a little uptight between us too. I just go out to the garage and work in the garage, and we'd kind of separate, until things cooled off a little bit. Well, here you can't do that because there's nowhere to go. Yeah, I could go outside, but I'm still right outside. I could go for a walk or something like that, but there's nowhere to go. So even when you have tensions between each other,
you got to kind of work it out.
You got to work it out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think this has been very good for us because that's been one thing that we've had to do is to learn to just kind of let it go, let things
communicate better.
Yeah.
Learn to let it go.
And it's been really, and I've learned so much because usually I've thought that Bob he just wasn't listening to me, and I have been in such close quarters in that I really realized that he just can't hear. I think a lot of his work, he's been a carpenter for 35 years plus, and it really has done a lot of damage to his hearing. And so I've really had to learn how to speak up, to face him when I'm talking to him.
It's not all selective hearing.
It's
sometimes I really can't hear.
Just and that. But I've learned a lot about him, the different things that go on. I bet you he's learned a lot about me and my issues. So we just find out, being in such close quarters, learn so much more about each other, and I don't think that that's been a bad thing at all.
It could either hurt your marriage or strengthen it.
Yeah. And I think it's strengthened ours so
far.
Much. Yeah. I don't think we've had a bad relationship at all.
No.
Anyway, so it's kind of hard to sit here and look at other people and say, well, it'll be like this, because it just depends on who you are and your relationship. Number 8. Okay, so what do you think? We're done with RVing? This is our first year, so...
Have we had enough of this?
Have we had enough of this? Are we going to be going on for another year?
No end in sight.
Exactly. So, what do we got planned for this next year?
Well, this next year we're heading west. So we're going to go down to Arizona. It's getting late in the year now, so we figure we better start going south. So we're going to work our way down to Arizona for the winter, and we'll be spending the winter in Arizona.
Yep. I think we're going to check out Quartzsite. We've heard a lot about it. We've heard pluses and minuses, so it's our first time there, so we might as well check out Quartzsite.
Yeah, we'll probably get to know Arizona as much as we know Florida. Every attraction or town in Arizona we're going to visit, and we're going to get to know it. And from then on, we don't know. We don't know what we're going to do from there. Whether we're going to go back straight north, or we'll go back east. Or we don't know. So at this point, we don't know what we're going to do. Right.
We'll probably figure it out while we're in Arizona. So that will be one of the things. That's what we did in Florida. We've tried to figure out our thing, but God had other plans for us. Well, thanks for following us on this video.
Thanks for watching our first year. Invite you along for our second year.
Bye.
See you on the road.